Sometimes the simplest pictures are the hardest to get.
I never have taken a picture I've intended. They're always better or worse.
Hey, welcome to the Street Shots Photography Podcast. This is Antonio and
This
Opie.
is Ward with Opie. Yes. And this is Ward without Opie.
Without Opie, who you've met in person. But anyway, yeah, welcome to episode 256 for, what are we, the middle of June.
June already, man.
Middle of June. That went by fast.
Yeah, it sure did.
More or less, yeah. But anyway, 256 is, what's the area code for 256?
Area code is North American telephone area
Oh,
code.
we're back in North America this time.
Serving
we
the
were last
northern
time.
and northeastern areas of Nevada. Alabama. I don't know why.
What?
I thought
We've
Arizona
started-
for a second, and then I took a left turn.
I know. I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah. Covers the major areas like Huntsville, Decatur, Florence, and Gadsden.
Sweet home Alabama.
Never been to Alabama.
I have not been to Alabama either.
Well, it's hi to our Alabaman friends.
Yes, anybody in Alabama, wave hello to us. Say hi. I'm imagining because it's going to be 90 degrees plus here, I'm just wondering what it's going to be in Alabama. Probably pretty
warm.
toasty and humid. Hope you guys are down there in some sort of air conditioning. If not, you have my sympathies if it's hot there, because it gets hot here, and air conditioning is a gift from the gods. That's what I think. Oh my gosh, it was so hot. Well, it was so hot here this weekend. We went for a walk on because they were having garage sales in the neighborhood, and I think we made it down 2 blocks, 3 blocks, and we're like, okay, let's go back and put this stuff away, and then we can take another walk. And we went back, we were like, well, no, we're not leaving the house. We're not. It just sat in the air conditioning, and it wasn't even that hot. It was like 80 something, but the humidity was pushing buttons there. So
Getting up there.
what's it like for you out there?
Pretty good. It would have been mid-70s here today
Nice.
in Fahrenheit. It's like 23, 24 degrees
Okay.
Celsius. So yeah, it's good. Cools down at night. Gets down to high 40s Fahrenheit. So it's kinda
Really?
nice. We
Oh,
have
so
the
you have a
window
nice cool
open.
night.
So
Yeah.
have the window open by the bed, and it's nice to have that cool, fresh air.
Yeah. Oh, I think, here, I don't know what it's getting to. It's probably in the 60s or something, but it's not terrible here. Tomorrow's supposed to be 93. We're recording this early before publishing, broadcasting, whatever we do with a podcast. And
Dropping.
so tomorrow,
I hear
Tuesday,
the podcast
dropping.
Drop
We'll
that
drop
podcast. Hang on, let's
Drop it.
When does it
Oh,
drop?
there we go. It fell. I dropped it. Yeah. Anyway, tomorrow's supposed to be like 93, and we're going to. They have a free jazz concerts in June. I think it's called Jazz in June or something like that.
Okay.
In the campus of the University of Nebraska, and it's basically everybody just gets around, puts out their chairs, listens to some jazz. We went last week. It was nice.
Cool.
They had
You didn't have to
food
do
trucks.
any TV production.
No,
There's
you
a
know
jazz festival in the old country. You used to be there. You
Yes.
had a gig. That was a gig you used to have.
That's right. Yeah, I've been actually seeing those. Well, I've been seeing pop-ups on my Facebook feed. A year ago today, Jazz Fest in Brooklyn would happen in October, but in the summer we were doing Celebrate Brooklyn. So essentially the same thing, except we were outdoors in the hot. Recently we've been having those lantern bugs landing on us. You know what it's like trying to hold the camera steady when there's a lantern bug walking in the back of your neck or in your hair, or anyway. Yes, it was wonderful to sit there. I was sitting there. I was like, what am I not doing? I feel like I should be doing something. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not filming right now.
Just relax and enjoy the music.
Yeah, just relaxing. Yeah. So, but what have you been up to?
Went to the Hand Hills Lake Stampede on not this past weekend, the weekend before. So we'll be talking about
which
that
we'll
later.
talk about. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, this weekend it was just a quiet couple of evenings at home, did a little bit of yard work and clean up. So my wife's taking some stuff to the donation bins and things. So I was like,
How was your camping trip
domestic list.
that you went? I don't know if we talked about it here, but you went on a little excursion.
Well,
this is part of
This
was part of the
Hand Hills Stampede. Yeah, this Hand Hills Lake Stampede.
Okay, so
We
you'll talk
camped
about
out
that.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
I sorry.
No,
Yes, I'm not drunk. I forget
all
these
good.
things.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, how about you? What's going on with you?
Well, other than going to garage sales, which are fun, I've been looking for fountain pens. I can't find any at the garage sales. Nobody's selling them. I want to start going to estate sales. They have a website here where you can go to estate sales, which feels kind of weird in a way. I mean, going through someone's personal stuff, but in search of not necessarily cameras, although if I found one, I will think about it, like I did with the box brownie that I found at the flea market.
Yeah, I sign up to a mailing or whatever, subscribe to a list for a company that does estate sales. And there's very often some interesting camera gear there. But the estate sales here are like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I can never take a Friday off to go to an estate sale at some weird corner of the city. And I show up on first thing Saturday morning, and there's like nothing there. It's all been picked over. So.
It's all been gone, yeah. Well, I haven't done it here yet, but maybe give that a try. I don't know how much more junk I need. I mean, you look in the background here, and it's a lot of junk. I just bought some shelves from Amazon because I've had so much stuff on the floor here, like put my drone stuff in here or my cameras, and it's like I have no surfaces here, I got my desk, and my desk only has this much space for surface. I tend to push stuff to the side here. And then what I do is when the stuff on the side gets to be too much, I take it all and I stick it into a tote or a bin and I shove it on. And then, so I've got multiple bins of stuff that was on my desk at some point, and it's all to the side. But unfortunately, I do things like I've got a lens cap here, and I've got my Nikon T28 Ti sort of sitting here. I've got what is this? My Zoom stereo recorder, sitting here.
Oh yeah.
Well, I got my XE5 right here. So everything's like I know, but everything's within my Edward Weston book, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Cool. It's all within like grasping distance, but this doesn't work. This is not a system. So I have some shelves over here, which I won't show you because I don't want to turn the camera, but they're nice. They were from Amazon. They're inexpensive, utilitarian, and I feel like I can actually start putting stuff away.
Right.
And putting stuff away, that's a new concept for me,
Okay.
Like things going away. So, but I don't know what else. I bought some new gear. Well, not really gear, but I don't know if you know about these things. But the small rig, I'm putting it on the screen here. I don't know if it's showing up in focus. I don't know if it's focused. Anyway, they have their version of Fuji batteries, both the ones for the smaller cameras and the one for the larger cameras.
Yeah, the one W126 and the
the 126S and
one.
the other, that one, right? The one with the one that looks like the Canon batteries. These, right?
Yeah,
look like this.
235.
It's all, small rig. 235. The cool thing about these batteries, because first of all, a lot of these third-party batteries, they're so cheap they inflate. After a certain amount of time, their lifespan is very limited. They are much cheaper than the Fuji batteries, and I'm fine with carrying multiple third-party batteries than having one expensive Fuji battery, because the Fuji batteries also expand. Maybe it takes a little bit longer. Anyway, there's a few companies that make these batteries that have built-in USB-C plugs in them, which is really nice in the field, or like I'm going on a trip and I've got a bunch of battery banks that I'm one of these people who likes to have a lot of batteries and wants to have a lot of charge. Like I like power corrupts.
Absolutely.
Absolute power is kind of neat, actually. So I rebought. So I have to take a bunch of these batteries. A lot of my Fuji batteries are kind of inflating, and I can't get them in. Well, the thinner ones are inflating. These 235s, they don't really inflate. They just sort of lose charge. But anyway, having a USB plug I should say a
Connector.
input connector in the battery. It means I can directly charge without having to bring a charger with me.
Very cool.
So I can plug it into my car and it can get a slow trickle charge, or bring a battery bank with a couple of cords and charge 2 batteries just sitting in my bag. So I can always have batteries charging, and especially with a fast charger, they tend to charge really quickly, and they're not that expensive. So I know that
That's an idea.
Prime Day is coming up for those people who buy from Amazon. I can't remember. I think I got these from B&H, but you should check there. They might have sales
Okay.
on Prime Day. But they're very handy. It's a very, very handy thing to have, and I want to switch all my batteries to these USB-C plug things. Anyway,
Very cool.
so I wanted to share that. Yeah, I wanted to share the other thing. A while back, before I moved to here, Lincoln, back in New York, somehow I got an email from, now I can't remember the name of the gallery, but they had a limited editions of some Gregory Crewdson images. And in a sort of, I was buying a lot of stuff after Elizabeth died. I think it was just one of my salves, to make me feel better. By the way, it doesn't make you feel better, I've noticed. But don't tell that to, past Antonio. Didn't work. Made me feel better at the moment when I bought it, but they shipped it pretty quickly, and it's been sitting in the box since last week.
Okay.
And first of all, the gallery shipped it in this box. I had to actually use a power screwdriver to. It had 6 bolts, screws. It was like a thick box, 3-inch thick box, maybe 18 inches by 13 inches or something like that, with about 3 or 4 inches thick.
Yeah.
And these screws in it, I knew the print, but I unscrewed it as I felt like I was opening, Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of thing. Popped it open. It had instructions. It had a pair of white gloves in it. It had some kind, I can't remember. It had a bunch of stuff in there. It had a card, Crewdson's signature on the card and whatnot. And then the print itself was wrapped up in this really nice way. I didn't take pictures of it. I don't do unboxing videos or anything, but I opened it up, and it was a signed inkjet print from Crewdson. It's a shot of, I don't know the name of it, but it's a shot of sort of a town, and there's a beam of light coming from the sky, almost like a UFO's beaming light. I don't think there's any people in it, but I haven't looked at it carefully. There might be some people in the picture.
Is there people at the end of the beam on the ground? I want to say there's a couple standing there.
Maybe I have to look at it again. I can't remember.
I'm kind of visualizing.
But I was I was really pulled in by that image when I saw it, and as one of the prints that was being offered. And I like his work. And also, maybe we could talk about it sometime, or maybe we could talk about a little bit about now or something, but maybe we did talk about it once. I'm still having I have a little trouble understanding his work. And yet I really enjoyed this image, especially because of the science fiction-ness of it. Like, that's what I'm seeing in it. And maybe that's not what he intended. Who knows? But I really like it. I like that I know sort of what's going on behind the scenes in some way. Having grown up in the movie business when I was a kid, and I would spend a lot of time on set with my mom. And so knowing, like, for me, like if I watch a movie, or when I used to watch a movie that I was on the set for, and knowing all the chaos that was happening sort of just right out of the frame.
Outside of the frame, yeah.
Right outside the frame. There's a zillion crazy things, and everybody's being quiet, and there's stuff going on. But in that frame, it's like perfect, right? Same thing with Crewdson's pictures, because essentially his work is like photography. It's just a single frame, but he's setting up lights everywhere. He's taking over a town. People are doing all sorts of things. There's people with microphones. There's like, it is a movie set, except he's taking one picture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I thought it was, I can't remember how much I paid for it. It was a reasonable price. And I was looking at it. I was like, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah. You're going to hang it somewhere?
Well, yeah, I would like to hang it yes, I would like to hang it because that's really what I got it for. Except sometimes when I see these things like this, I think they should stay in the box, which is not really what I want to do because what's the point? Like I'm not
The
really,
comic book, right? The mint
yeah,
condition
yeah,
comic. Yeah.
mint condition, you collect it and stuff like that. I would want to find a good place to frame it, and like I don't even know. I mean, I guess I would just do a basic frame with a mat and hang it up. But yeah, I mean, I'm starting to hang up some pictures. I've got a picture that Gavin sent me of the figure in the shadow of the
Sydney Opera House.
opera house.
Yeah.
I have that. I don't have it in a mat yet. I basically just tacked it up in its plastic covering that he put over it until I figure out how to frame it. But I figured better to hang it, because I'm just using that like sticky stuff on the wall, so it doesn't stain the wall. I can put it up and I can look at it until I figure out what to do, because I think it's better to look at these images than to have them in a box. And so yeah, I should probably do that with the Crudson picture. I just anything that's delivered to me with white gloves,
Yeah.
it worries me. I'm like,
Yeah.
and there's instructions about how to handle the print and blah blah blah. I mean, of course, a gallery is going to send that because that's their responsibility, and I appreciate it. So, but I don't really buy prints from photographers. I mean, I've bought some from the Square,
The Magnum. Yeah.
the Magnum Square.
I got an 8
Square
by
print.
10 Eve Arnold picture of Marilyn Monroe from the set of The Misfits.
Really?
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
was 400. That's as much as I'd probably ever spend on a print. Well, it's
Yeah.
nice to
Well,
have. I mean, it's stamped with the Eve Arnold's estate stamp, and it's like, I like,
yeah. I mean,
I like the what's the word? I can't remember. Provenance of the image,
Mm.
and it's a Magnum print, and so yeah, I like that kind of stuff.
I have a Bruce Weber. I have an Elliot Erwitt. Someone else. I think I got 3 or 4 prints of the. Oh no, 1 or 2 Eugene Smith
Okay.
prints.
I have 2 Robert Capa of the squares.
Really? Yeah.
The D-Day one and one of a color, like as a Kodachrome of presumably a British sailor that has his arms around the signal light on. It's just beautiful.
Oh yeah.
That's beautiful. Sorry, I interrupted you. What were you
No,
saying?
I was going to say were the prints. Do you remember if the prints were printed well? The one.
Yes, they were lovely.
Oh, they weren't. Okay, all right. I remember the one I bought from the Eugene Smith's estate or through Magnum. I wasn't terribly impressed with the print, and I was even debating about sending it back because I was like, this is. I don't know, but it's got the stamp on it, and so it's got some of that kind of value, not money value, but like value that it was approved and stuff by the estate. But it's the image of the 3 Spanish guards with those kind of funky hats. I love that picture. I've always loved that image ever since I was a kid. I don't know why. There's something
just
about
the way their faces are arranged in the frame. It's compelling.
Yeah, there's the composition of that. That guy was such a master of composition. He just knew what to do. I don't say a master, but his compositions are just something. They're amazing, and especially when he's got human figures in it. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm drooling all over the place about Eugene Smith's
about a
pictures.
print that you were thinking about sending back too, which is
About a print which I need to find because I have no idea where it is. But I get some prints from a print exchange on Instagram, and I can't remember the name of the print exchange account. But if you get picked for their print exchange, you send a print to a photographer and they send you one. Or you send it to them and then they send them out or something. Anyway, it was interesting.
Out. Yeah. Okay.
They broker it out, yeah. So I've gotten a couple of good prints from those. And again, I don't do much with them. Probably because of my old apartment. I didn't have a lot of wall space to put stuff up, and I might have a little bit more wall space to put pictures up in frames. Not too many because I think the walls here might not hold too much, or like they can't be too heavy. Anyway, I opened this thing, I looked at it, and then I put it back in the box, and I put the screws back in. and it's sitting in the other room waiting for me to do something with it.
Funny, in our living room we have a whatever you want to call it, a feature wall. It's just kind of there, and we painted it a different color, and we have these things. I guess the name of them is frame rails, which is kind of funny. It's because I'm into cars. It's frame rail is a part of a car, and you just stand up photographs in there. You don't have to. There's just a lip there, and you can arrange the photographs however you want. And there's family stuff in there, and there's some of my arty stuff, and there's some of my 80s work in there too. So it's like every now and then I go, oh yeah, I remember taking that.
Oh, you swap
Cool.
You swap them out? Or?
Yeah, not as you forget about them, and there's not suddenly like stuff's been there for years, and then I'll get to trade this out, and if there's new work to put in, maybe I'll do that, and have something printed and put it in there.
Well, have you ever noticed when you put up a new print or something how it changes? I mean, the room, or just your experience. I mean, then of course you get used to it, and then it just becomes another piece of furniture in a way. But that initial time they put up a print or something new, you just, at least for me, would sit there and say, "Wow, this is really a wonderful experience." And then life kicks in, and I think, "Well, I'm going to switch them around," and I don't, and end up with the same pictures gathering dust.
Yeah, well, there's everything from my in-laws' wedding picture up there to what's the most recent one? Oh, I guess trips to Yellowstone that Marcy and I took in like 2019.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. This is a different experience of, and you can't get too arty because, my wife won't like it. It's like a negotiation, right? The pictures that go up there. So.
Yeah, well, that's fine. It's nice to have that negotiation. It's nice to have your significant other and maybe enjoy the work also.
And some of her pictures are out there too, so it's great.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. So let's see. And while we're here, moving on from that, I'm getting ready for my class in July, which is coming up. We've got less than a month to go, or a little bit, well, since we're recording, but by the time this is being broadcast, it'll be about a month. I've heard that I've already got 4 people signed up for it.
Nice.
Which is nice. I think I get paid by the person, so the more people who sign up, the better. It's like I would like more people to sign. But anyway, I've got a month to go. I've made these posters. I didn't make them. I collaborated with the evil one, AI, to create a poster for the class itself. I just basically fed in all my class stuff and told it to make a poster, put a couple of cameras on it, make it look kind of jazzy, because I really don't want to sit there and spend the time. I'm really just trying to recruit students to show up. But 6-week class starting July 26th, Wednesday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30. Maybe I'll put the link in the show notes in case anybody is from Nebraska who's listening to the show. They want to join. That would be great. The class is called The Narrative Lens, Crafting the Visual Story. So 6-week class. This is going to be my first time teaching multiple courses with the same people. And I must have said I'm looking forward to this a lot.
Yeah,
I really.
Yeah. I can sense
and I think we talked. Yeah, I think we talked about having. What was going to do? Keep having. Why am I spacing out? Tell me who I'm talking about. Oh, my brain. Walker Evans.
Walker Evans, yes.
Walker Evans being sort of like a
through line.
Through line throughout all the classes, so we can follow one photographer who did a lot of things and have him go through each class, sort of being like at the end of each one. Let's see what Walker Evans is doing. Maybe not necessarily him in regards to the subject matter of the class, but maybe a little bit. But I want to have this sort of through line with, and I'm sort of incorporating all the other classes that I've taught, except street photography. I didn't put street photography in there. But I'm doing the photo journaling. I'm going to do the zine class that I taught, but not as a zine class. Although I am teaching a zine class at the school in the fall. But I'm going to use parts of my zine class for sequencing images. Get the class to take photographs and and sequence them, for whatever kind of project. Maybe I'll even tell them a zine or a book or something like that. And I wanted to ask you something about. I mean, have you taught? You
I
said a
only
while
taught,
back you taught. You
yeah,
did a while back, right?
94 for the city Department of Parks and Recreation. I was just
Right,
recruited for a
right,
one-off thing. It was a
right.
6 week. It was 6 week times 2 hours.
Yeah,
So sort of like but it was really about art of photography. So it was about color, texture, form, that
I
sort of
see.
thing,
Yeah,
right? Chiaroscuro. I got all of the fancy terminology,
all the fancy
and it
stuff.
was
Well,
like, and it was fun.
yeah, I can imagine that. I'm guessing that you like doing this podcast is in some way almost kind of like teaching, right? And
Yeah,
like the talking about what we talk about sometimes when we show things and stuff. And so maybe this experience can be helpful in terms of figuring out like what to incorporate into the class. But we've been talking again about the mundane. I want to circle back to this, and I'm sorry if this is getting over repetitive, but when I teach this class, I really kind of want to stress the idea that we don't have to make, or they don't have to seek the hero image, which I am already sort of anticipating that a lot of people who are either just starting photography or enjoy it like are looking to do. And since we've been talking about the mundane image, in fact, we've got our little, side chat in Discord where we just call it mundane, where we're posting these pictures that we take. Like I want to, maybe you could tell me what you think about this, or maybe you have some ideas. I want to sort of emphasize not the mundane, but sort of the everyday, because I think that is going to sort of switch their brains around a little bit. Lately, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and we talked about this in the last episode, but Kilby was talking about the Stephen Shores and the Egglestons, and even Sean Tucker was talking. I was watching a video that he just put up the other day or today about essentially local photography, like not having to also dealing with constraints, right? Constraining yourself to like one location, one segment of time, maybe one camera, and I like that. Do you have any ideas or do you have any thoughts about how one could incorporate that into, let's say, a class or a theme or something like that?
well, it's occurring to me just as you're speaking, and I don't know whether it's completely relevant, but here goes. They always say about when you want to pick up a new habit or something, or kick a habit, you have to have you have to practice it every day, and then after a week it'll become easier, blah blah blah, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Make photography, even if it's just with the iPhone or whatever your constraints are in your course, make it part of people's daily routine, so that they're creating work, if it's this mundane or this everyday thing, and make it so that photography is not some destination you have to reach to, that it's part of who you are. If you're going to be a photographer, if you want to take better pictures, whatever the terminology is, people say, "Well, I'm learning how to use a camera and I want to take better pictures." Well, we all want to take better pictures.
Yeah.
But you make it part of your being, and I think that's the main part of it.
So what do you think of this? If I can just jump in.
Sure.
The idea is it's 6 classes, and maybe by the 3rd class or 4th class, I want them to start, because at the end they're going to have a project that they're going to present, right? So I want them to start thinking about it like within certainly after the first class. And but what I was thinking was, in order to make it, I don't know, maybe a little easier for them to create a project for the end, rather than having them do something big deal, right? Like maybe have them focus on this thing about the constraints as a way to say, look, you don't have to travel to, Kearney to get pictures of the train coming through or whatever. You can do your project in your neighborhood. Like, so following what Sean Tucker says about, like, you know, finding a certain street or find a certain area and repeat and go back to that thing. And I'm just thinking about this now. I'm sort of
Hunting and
formulating as
fishing
we talk.
metaphor. I think that's interesting too, right? Where
And
the fishing
fill that in a
is
little
where
bit.
you're in one place and things come to you. I mean, we know it from street photography.
Right.
There's the being in place and then observing from one place, and the hunting is you're moving along the street or you're moving along out in nature and you're finding things. You're finding the flowers, you're finding the trees. To do that, and like, you know, tips and tricks sometimes, you know, get you going, and those tricks themselves are also enforced constraints, right? You know, you're walking down the street, you're walking, you know, your kitchen table time, you put that vase with the flowers and maybe you shine a light on it, you fire a flash on it, do something, and light painting, I don't know what, you know, just try some stuff, you know, still life, just so you can do something and start to feel it, I think is what it is. We can talk about it all we want, but till you get in there and you actually try and create images, and the success and failure, they offer the lessons. And I really love constraints, I think, and it's really underrated. You know, it really forces you to find the creativity, so you're not bowled over. And we've said this dozens of times, I'm sure. You're not paralyzed by choice. It's sort of like, here's a situation we're in. This is what we're going to do, and we'll produce something out of it.
Do you think,
does that answer your question?
well, it's beginning to answer. And do you think, this is an opinion, and if anybody's listening and they want to throw their 2 cents in, sort of send it in, that as a, you know, 6-week maybe intro to photography course, if they come out of it saying, well, the project he had me do was just walk around my street and take pictures. Like, I have this concept of the class and what would make them better photographers, or at least like understand photography a little bit better. And like, there are probably gonna be people who want to take kind of like the pictures you did at the rodeo or something like that, like the hero big shots. And that's great. That being said, the chances of doing that in a 6-week class are, you know, iffy at best, especially if you're just starting photography. And I thought, like, again, I really want to build from the ground up. I remember when I took photography classes, I was lucky to go to high school for photography. And so we had all this time to do things like, you know, learn contrast, photograph an egg on white, or learn motion, like all the things that you took to get to the point that I'm at now. And I've got to compress that into 6 weeks, and I want them to come out with a different way of thinking. I'm just a little worried, and this is me just anticipating negatively ahead of time, that like it might be a disappointment. They might come out of it saying, you know, well, you didn't teach me how to take, you know, shots of race cars, you know, and like I'm not anticipating the negative side of it. People are signing up. They read the description of the class and they know what they're signing up for. But like, that was my thought, was like, I want to keep it grounded in something that they're going to be able to do. And I want them to come out with something that, yeah, it may not be going into National Geographic magazine, but it's going to be fulfilling a project. It's going to be it's going to have a beginning, middle, and end. And that's kind of what I want to offer them. So anyway, just wondering if that sounds like
it does. I
something
think
that's worthwhile.
I think I remember in high school, was a thing to have a contract with yourself that, you know, this would be a goal that you had. It's more like a promise that you'd put the effort in to get the result that you wanted. You know, if you look at your course materials, are there opportunities that, you know, you look at the Walker Evans, okay, Walker Evans did a lot of buildings, facades, and things like that. Walk around Lincoln, there's some real opportunities there. Age of the homes, you've got the state capitol is there. Like, there's a lot of interesting stuff like that you can key off of. And then, you know, maybe start by emulating some of these masters or whatever that worked with simple projects and in simple circumstances, and then build from there. And then the second week, what is the theme? What are some examples of stuff that the students could also kind of glom onto, and then build a feeling in them this is like what you can do, but you're not bounded by it. When you're
Mm.
actually out shooting, what is it that you see that only you would see, and
Mm-hmm.
chase after that, and give them some hope and some faith in their ability to do their own discovery. Because that's what I find with people that are truly interested in photography that I've spoken to or whatever, and you catch up with them later. Oh, that thing you told me, whatever, I tried that and was really good. Now they didn't, didn't become as passionate or interested or obsessed by photography as I am, but they got a little hit there, and I think there was some value in that. It's just that fact that you're imparting, you can do this. Like, it's part of it. It is really not that hard. The actual theory of photography can be grasped by your average person, and it's just, let's go on this together, where the course materials tell us things we can try. We can try emulating a Weston or
Well,
whomever.
actually, in regards to that, the emulation, and I'll end on this in a second. Would it make sense then, maybe instead of having a Walker Evans as a string through all the classes, would it make sense to highlight one photographer at the end of each class, one other photographer,
Sure.
instead of just having one guy?
Yeah, well, that are applicable to whatever the lesson is that week, right? Who's an example of
Yeah,
this?
maybe. I mean, I'm doing a lot of
Whatever. I mean,
practical lessons.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean. There's yeah, it doesn't have to be, but
Okay.
I like, and I don't know, I'm not a very good student, but well, in a classroom, I'm kind of a jerk. What was I going to say?
You're just admitting that to everybody now, right?
Well, that's fine.
Well, you're not coming to my class, my friend. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I'll just sit. You can tie me up in the corner or whatever.
You're gonna throw spitballs at me, right?
No, I'm not that kind of mean. I'm like, oh, listen to this guy. No, I'm that guy. What was I going to say? I've forgotten. All of our shenanigans.
Oh,
no, that's all right. I think it just had to do with, imparting a feeling that yes, you can do this, which is what I think people that when they're starting out, they lack confidence, and when you can do something to build up that confidence, is give them something that looks like I never would have. And it doesn't. It actually really doesn't take much for people that are brand new to photography to get them to produce something that first gives them a feeling that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Like, let's take some flowers with the phone. Let's get like, oh, you're in macro mode. Let's move this down a little bit, get rid of that distracting background, and suddenly it's their phone background on their home screen for the rest of that year, right?
Right.
So there are things, there are things you can do. I think it's a combination of them learning and then them having a feeling that they can actually produce something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and it adds a human factor to it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to bring, is sort of a down to earth kind of experience for them. And I don't know how many people are sort of in the mindset that they have to make a hero picture. It's got to be the best thing. It's got to be social media worthy or whatever.
You can do a sidebar on, let me tell you about hero pictures.
Yeah, let me tell you, like, they're not all they cracked up to be.
Yeah.
They get tired. You get tired of them really quickly. It's another hero picture, Like, my gosh, can you just give me something? Take a picture of some dirt, or something that doesn't mean anything. Okay, I'll consider all this. I might need to go. I think I'll go and tweak my presentation again. When I'm doing this endless tweak, making the show or the class as I go along, and I realize I've got 4 classes already, so I've bought myself another month to do the final 2. If I need to tweak them as I move along and see how the class goes, but I'm really looking forward to it. So more to be continued. We'll follow up on this a little bit later. So thank you for that.
I just make it up as I go along.
I do too. So you went. I want to talk about this because this is, to me, a big deal. But you went to a rodeo.
Went to the rodeo. It's exactly 10 years since Mark Ryerson and I shot the Hand Hills Lake Stampede for a book we produced in 2017. And I said in the last show that I didn't have any real agenda, or I was going to shoot there or whatever, and that it was likely going to rain, and then I would cover some, if the arena was going to be muddy, then I was going to try and capture some action in the mud.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, as it turned out, Sunday, the final day, was so cold and miserable. It was, what did they say? It felt like -3 Celsius. So that would be,
Really?
yeah, so that would
Oof.
be 25 degrees Fahrenheit. And we would just wanted to get our stuff and get out of there. I had no interest in, and it was blowing and rain and it's just miserable. So we packed up early. So that was how it ended. But how
Okay.
we
That's
got there on the Thursday night and there's nothing going on. People are arriving, whatever. The main competitions start on Friday and go on to Saturday, Sunday. So on Friday, I slept terribly. And, the older I get, the camping, it's just, I don't like camping anymore.
really.
And I'm trying to like it, but it's just, as I get
You
older,
just like the
it's just
comforts. You just like the comforts of home too
the
much, right?
comforts of home. I like traveling, but I just, the whole trailer and the tiny toy house thing going on, and where are my medications, and how come the pop isn't, how come the pop isn't cold, and I was like, yeah, it's just, but it's only for a couple of days. I got to tell myself that. So anyway,
Yeah.
so I get there, and my knees are bothering me, and I'm getting older, and I just turned into this old crank, right? And so I'm like, okay, what am I going to shoot? And I thought, well, I've been doing all this black and white stuff, and I just shoot color. That's fine. A lot of my kind of vernacular rodeo pictures, which sort of look like any other picture that you'd see in a magazine, or that a pro would shoot to show off for a magazine, or to sell to the competitor. So whatever. I didn't want to do that. I had this lens that I bought from a year or so ago, just before Daytona in 2025, year and a half ago. So I'll just try zooming in close to the competitor, the saddle, his legs, hips, whatever, fragments, kind of impressionistic. Some of the competitors wear chaps that have very ornate or a lot of tassels, like buckskin
Hmm.
kind of tassels flying all over, and they look interesting when you shoot them. So I'm just pointing the camera at the saddle of these individual horses and jumping around and trying to get the timing right and everything. And it was interesting. Like I had mentioned in our Discord group, that our friend Keith had said that he liked some of the pictures that I had posted, and I said the hit rate is high, but the opportunities are low. So you only have 8 seconds per ride to get the pictures
Right.
you need to
Right.
get, and the animal and the rider have to be in the right position for you to get the picture, so to be at the right angle and the right distance and all that kind of stuff. And you kind of have to have your wits about you, so you do that. And I was really getting into it. I guess it was the Saturday morning. By the time we got to the Saturday morning, there was what's called a wild horse race, where three guys have to kind of subdue a full-sized horse, put a saddle on it, and then it's wild, so it'll buck right away as soon as you put the saddle on it. And then one of the guy who puts the saddle on, they mount another guy on there. He gets to ride around one barrel, and then yay, hooray, you win. So that's only 2 minutes. That event, I think, is to a 2 minute timer. So, or 3 minutes, whatever. So you really have to kind of guess where the action is going to be. So you go to these
Hmm.
places and you shoot, whatever. So I got a couple of pretty good pictures there. And then there was this event called the saddle bronc and the bareback, which are you riding horses. A saddle bronc is you are on the horse and you're in a saddle, and the other one is bareback, where you've just got, like, it's like a suitcase handle that's lashed to the horse, and you have to hang on to that, and there's no saddle, and you just slide around and hope for the best, and get your 8 seconds in and get off. So I was shooting these, and thinking in color and all that kind of stuff. I didn't have to worry about contrast and whatever. I was just looking for the more colorful arrangements. I'm looking for when the horses are going by each other, and if there's a rider or a pickup man or somebody, personality, like his head is in the frame. And so I was kind of doing this kind of layering thing, and inspired by Dan Winters. He kind of shoots stuff like that, although I don't think he's done rodeo. And then with the wild horse race, after all the horses are kind of released, after I think there's two groups of six, something like that, or maybe, yeah, I think there's two groups of six horses that come out, and they stay in the arena and they go in a pack. They kind of circle around the arena in a pack once they're all done with, before they get kind of run out of the back into their corrals. So I was like, okay, well, get something wider and see if I can shoot them as they come by in layers, because they're beside each other, trying to get them in arrangements that are going by. So I did this, and I had a relative amount of success. I also wanted to do pictures of they have like a cabaret dance thing in the evening. So there's one Friday night and Saturday night. And after Saturday, I didn't feel well, so I just stayed in the trailer. I didn't do any shooting. That's when most of the interesting stuff would happen. Would be on the Saturday night, but I was kind of tired, and I just wanted to go to bed early, so I did that. So that was fine. I come back, I do the color processing, and I'm a Lightroom guy, shoot raw with my Fuji gear, and so I was doing this kind of slightly oversaturated, but a little bit of dehaze, and kind of put a little edge on it, make it look a little slide-like, make it kind of ectochrome, not Kodachrome kind of feeling to it.
Yeah.
And a little bit of vignetting to make it seem like it's an older lens, whatever. So I posted these pictures to Instagram, Vero, Facebook.
Well, you sent them to us first, right?
Yeah, I sent a few. I sent a few in that
on our Discord, right?
On the Discord, yeah. And you guys seem to like them fine. And then I posted them on Facebook. Suddenly, I got this huge reaction. It was
sorry
amazing.
to interrupt.
Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt
What?
just to pose it. We didn't just like them fine.
Okay.
So I'm gonna interrupt you and say you posted, I think, 5 or 6 pictures, and I think I might have been the first to respond to them. I think Dave did after that, and then Keith also. But I was blown away by the pictures. I even told you that. I said I think it was one of the best pictures. One of the 5. They were all great. There's one of the 5 that I thought was one of the best pictures I've ever seen from you. I think I said that, right?
Yeah,
and I said I need to get a print of that.
Well, you just let me know, and I'll print. Well,
I will let you know. We'll work on that. I just want, but the reason why I want to put that in context, because it started. You had the hint that, and maybe you didn't know, or maybe you didn't know, but you had the hint from 3 other people or 2 other people at the time that you were doing something, that you did something that we found a little bit above and beyond your usual.
Typical, yeah.
Right.
Well,
So when you told us about Instagram, and I'll let you finish the story, of course, but when you told about it, it's like I was not surprised.
Yeah.
So continue on.
The Instagram reaction was just a little bit above average, but it was on Facebook, where I do have family that are from out there, and I know a couple of people who are professionals in the business who liked the image. And once they liked them, a couple of them have very large Facebook audiences, and I think that helped trigger it. It became... There were 2 images. There was one of the wild horse race, and there was one of a saddle bronc it was a bareback picture where the rider has his chaps like kind of flayed out, and there's this very interesting dynamic and very busy, colorful, almost abstract composition. So you can tell very clearly that it's a like I said, it's a saddle bronc. But there was the last kind of big banger image, if you want a home run, whatever you want to call it, is the bareback guy, where he's basically prone not prone, the other way around. He's on his back, parallel to the back of the horse, and his hat is down, and the picture was shot at 6:30 in the evening, so his hat was down and it was obscuring his eyes, and you could just see the grimacing that he had on his face, and a little bit of teeth there. So there was this kind of very almost comic book like graphic novel-esque kind of expression with his head and his cowboy hat that I thought kind of made the picture. It kind of set it off, and I knew that part. I knew that this image was going to be more popular than what I usually do, which is kind of black and white arty stuff. So I mean, I was proud of to put them in social media, and don't get me wrong, I really like it, but I was completely dumbstruck by the reaction. And on Facebook, I'm tens of thousands of views
No,
on it now.
has
So
anybody reached out to want to buy any of the prints?
not yet. No, not yet. I get a
Okay,
lot of
that's
comments,
interesting.
which I don't usually get comments. I usually get likes and loves, but this is the first time people are actually commenting on it. I think what I'll do is I'll make a fine print for you, and I'll get I'll get a proper J or a proper TIFF set up for it that's got the right color and everything, and have my
Okay.
printer do that, create that one, and then I can use that, and I can sell it on my print shop on my
You
website.
should. Well, can we talk about the picture that we're talking about? Right?
Okay.
Because to me, it's this one picture that you just spent some time describing fairly well. And I think when I first saw it, I'm not a rodeo guy, and I'm like I'm not a huge fan of rodeos. I mean, the animal guy, and I know, but this is, we're not going to get into that stuff.
Yeah.
That being said, there is something about this image that grabbed me from the get-go. And the more that I looked at it, the more I liked it, and I saw details in it. And first of all, I admired your eye for catching this. And I'd like to talk to you about that in a minute. But there was something very, I'm going to say this. Like, all rodeos are summed up in this image. To me.
Okay, that's interesting.
Like, it's a timeless, this is rodeo, is what I imagine.
Okay.
The reason is because the guy, you don't see his face.
Yeah, it's archetypical for sure. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you don't see the guy's face, so it's not about him. You don't see the horse's face, so it's not about the horse, right? It's this moment that the two of them are sharing that is timeless, that has been around for as long as rodeos or people have been breaking horses or just having these kind of competitions. If I saw his face, I think it would be a different picture altogether, but just seeing his mouth, right, and his hand and his boot and all the stuff sort of flying, the tassels mimicking the mane of the horse. There's a lot of triangular shapes in there, or angled shapes. There are these choices of where you cropped at the bottom. There's the horse's back leg creating sort of a right angle. Of course, the guy himself his leg is triangular. There's a negative space triangle in the center. There's like all this stuff. Then the whole picture to me is triangular. Like I said this in our group, I think I remember, but it reminds me of it's like a biological mountain where the top of the tassels, the crest of the mountain, and there's all these different peaks, and it's a mountain with a mountainscape, and so it's a living landscape. So there's all this depth and stuff, which I don't often see in pictures, especially pictures like this. I don't see that a lot. But instantly when I saw this, I went right to it. And I'm guessing that other people are seeing somewhat similar things in it. If this is the one picture that's getting, or at least this is one picture that's sort of pulling people in to your work. And that's why I want a print of it, because I can look at this picture for an endless amount of time. And I don't say that about a lot of photographs. So, and I would have to say that I'm very envious of you having caught a picture that is doing that to me. I mean, I know I've had that effect on other people, so I'm not putting myself down as, and I wish there's a part of me that wish I took this picture. I wish I could have been you taking this, So, and again, it's not just, I don't want to just lob on praise. I think it's a well-seen picture. I don't know. You the way you cropped it, even the way you process it, the light, the shine on the animal
there's
itself.
some things that really conspired for its success, lighting wise. It looks like it's almost lit flash, right? But it shot
does,
at 6:30 at night. There's the sheen on the horse itself, like their highlights in the texture of the horse's hide. And so it has this wonderful kind of three lines of highlight in the animal itself, which is which I love. And one of the reasons when I do black and white, I want the horses to look metallic, and this is
Mm-hmm.
why, because you have the sheen. It's in the hide of the animal. Yeah. So
Sorry. One more thing, if I may,
yeah,
because I just saw this. The picture is very bookmarked too. So the left and right of the picture are bookmarked by the horse's tail, horse's mane. Then the cowboy himself, the rider, he's bookmarked by his hat and his boot. And then they're both topped off. The whole thing is topped off by these dark shapes of the fabric
it,
that's flying
the
in the air.
chaps. Yeah, those are his
The
chaps
chaps. So
flying.
there's this repeating sort of pattern of dark and then color and then dark and then color and then dark. It's like this. So I see that. I'm just seeing that now, actually, as we're talking. I was like, what is going on here? Like, if his boot was red, I don't think it would work as well. And if the horse had a different colored tail or something, I don't think it would work. And just so there's another element in there, but this bookmarked of shape and color. Even the boot mimics the shape of the hat a little bit. So I start to see that kind of stuff. I love when that happens in a photograph. So anyway, I wanted to throw that in. That's pretty amazing. So I want to ask you. So since we are getting into the season here, and there are going to be people photographing this stuff, how do we go about doing work like this? Like, what are the things we need to think about? What are the
I mean, in terms of
give us
shooting
some lesson.
rodeo,
Well,
or
no, just give us a lesson about this. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I might be going to, I might be going to, we're going to start having the state fairs here, and a couple of them have events, right? Whether they're with animals and stuff like that. But I would like some, like, you've been doing this for a while, so you've got some knowledge about how to capture an event like this. Let's just say maybe not necessarily rodeo, but
well,
what's
I'll
going
be
on in this
specific
picture?
first with rodeo.
Sure. Okay.
One thing about a rodeo, well, I think all rodeos are distracting backgrounds. So we'll talk
Mm-hmm.
limitations first. If you shoot any wider than this, you're going to get the fence. You're going to get people that are the spectators. And one thing I don't like to shoot in color, and why I like black and white to shoot rodeo, is there are people in the crowd that wear distracting colors that take away from what's going on in the actual action part of the image. So your chances of getting something that's really good and interesting with the crowd and the other competitors watching, and all, I mean, everyone's watching the ride, and that can be interesting. But to get a successful picture like that is really hard in terms of, you use a wider lens or wider zoom setting, whatever. So there's that. So part of, and actually the inspiration for this was from when we were starting those photo journals, and we had got those HP sprocket printers, and we were sticking
Yes.
them
Yes.
in. And
Yeah.
I tried that for a while. I did it for a couple of months, that 1 year. So 2023, I think we were doing that, and it kind of went off on me. But anyway, one of the inspirations I had was a Stiglitz photo of the jaw of presumably a mule that was the bridle, or the halter that it was metal on the side of the animal's jaw. It was like this close up, and there was no, you knew what the animal
Yes. Yes.
was.
I know the picture. Yeah, I know the
Yeah,
picture.
there was this. I wanted to do something close up, and I started to do it, and I kind of chickened out, and I didn't have a lens that was long enough. I think I had a 105. I got that Nikon 105. I was playing with that. That wasn't long enough. So this picture that we're talking about here, I shot with that 55 to 200 that I bought from you, and this is a bit of a crop, so I wanted to make sure that I could get in what I needed to get in, and then knowing that I would do a bit of a crop after the fact. So I wanted to get out of the distracting backgrounds. I wanted to look for competitors and animals that were interesting looking, and so I waited. And I'm getting older, and I get down beside one of the posts I'm not allowed inside the arena, because I'm not accredited, and I don't want to be accredited photographer, but I can shoot through the fence on the other side of where these guys are being released. So I get low as I can to help with the hero thing. I'm shooting up at them. even though he's probably about 50 feet away, I've got the lens just about racked all the way out. I can, do my best to follow him. Like I say, it's 8 seconds. This would be probably his fourth stride. So he'd be 4 or 5 seconds into the ride here. So this would probably be like the most violent part of the ride. So here you're just hoping, you're making sure that everything that's going on is fitting in the frame and that it's not going outside the frame. And we had talked last week about doing the 5 frames a second, or the Sony cameras doing 100 frames a second. I shot 4 frames of this, and I mean the camera is on continuous, but I only fired off one, and I'm waiting for the peak of action. I don't need to wait. I don't need to see the arc of the thing. I wanted to, when he was coming back, the back of the horse, the butt end of the horse is coming up and he's rocking back. And so I just wanted to wait for that moment. Usually the competitors' chaps don't fly up like this. I don't ever remember seeing them flying up like this. This is Australian cowboy, by the way. Maybe they dress differently. I don't know. But that was an interesting, I didn't know whether I liked that effect when I was looking at the image in Lightroom. But it was something to fill the sky up too, because a lot of that, if there's a lot of sky above it, it's kind of pulls your eye away too. And so I was kind of lucky in that he was wearing a white Kevlar vest, and there were the highlights in the horse. They help kind of bring your eye back down. So yeah, so with that, with this kind of work, this is where you fill the frame, and where you have to, when you look at rodeo work from other photographers, they're trying to please everybody. And in this, I was not really trying to please anybody. I just wanted to get something that was close, that kind of represented the grit. And I think I used the word, I would get some more grit, or take some grittier pictures or something. I don't know what I said. But, when you zoom in and you see their faces, and you're getting a sense of the dynamic aspect and the kind of the full-on violence of the ride. I wanted to capture some of that. So
you said you were shooting it. This particular shot was done at 6:30 at night, so the sun's going down.
Yeah.
Little practical part of this is that you're going for as high a shutter speed as you can.
Yeah. 12/50th. Usually for almost all the rodeo stuff, I shoot at 12/50th of a second. So
yeah. So in case anybody who's listening to this, I always tell people, when you want to really stop motion, over 500th of a second minimum, like you have to go way above.
Yeah.
But are you then compensating with ISO? I mean, like,
ISO is
not worrying about it too
auto,
much. Yeah.
And I have the lens wide open.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I am still concerned that there could be background. And if I'm, it's 6.8 or something when it's all the way out, right? So even then, like you can see at the top of his boot, there's a post. There's a telephone post that's there, and thankfully it's blurry enough that it's not not distracting. It's not taking you out of the picture, right? In fact, it's another triangle. Whatever you want to.
I know.
You can create another.
We go into these triangles. We'll go into this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very exciting that you've had such a good response on it, but again, I think there's something about it that it's very universal. I think it can appeal to like anybody, whether or not you like rodeos or not. There's something in that picture of human being and animal, and yeah, I think you did a great job. So
thank you.
You're waiting for a certain peak to happen. You're not spray and pray, because
no, there's no point.
Why? There's no point, because
and
you might actually miss something, right?
Yeah, the frequency of a bucking bronco is once per second. So click, click, click.
Yeah.
And one of them will be better than the others, right? So you're just trying to keep it in the frame, right? And my struggle is with my advanced age, and I'm propped up against the post and I'm poking through the lens, and I don't want the lens to catch in the page wire. So I'm like, I was going way over there. Oh, I got to skip to the next frame, like I got to go through a different part of the fence. And so the struggle is just the physical part, if I were, even 10 years younger, I had a much easier time when Mark and I were shooting what we were doing then. But I didn't have a lot. Well, that's not true. I had the 80 to 70 to 200 Canon, so I did have basically the same thing. But it was just a different mindset. I wanted something that was closer, that took out the distraction, and was more about the thing itself instead of the
Yeah.
event. Like, oh, here we are at the rodeo. It's more constrained than that.
Harkening back to our previous talk about hero images, like convention would I would think, anybody who wants to go take pictures, like, well, you got to get the horse's head. You got to get the whole horse, right? You got to get all the pieces and parts, and you end up with some of the issues that you were speaking about, like the background shows up and the colored hats and the people are distracting and all that kind of stuff. But you got the whole horse, right? In your case, you're in a lot of the pictures, at least the ones that I saw, you are often not concerned with seeing the whole of anything. You're seeing the parts or even just cropping into something. So can you just talk on that a little bit? Because that is what gives me like hope that I not can do pictures like you, but I could start thinking of things like this differently. And I want to know that, people who are listening can kind of do the same thing, can not have to worry about like trying to please, like you were saying with the other guys, please everybody, right? Which could end up being really frustrating, especially if you're doing this,
And it's
for
so
the
hard to
first
get
time or
good
something.
pictures. Like, yeah, it's so hard to get stuff that's interesting, that's not horribly distracting. So I would say with horses and people, unlike motorsport, which is my other sport subject, everyone knows what a horse does when it runs or bucks or whatever. And so we have an image in our brain already that this is the shape of a horse. So you can leverage that perception by saying, okay, well, if my viewer knows what a horse is, I don't need to show the whole one. We know it's a
Mm-hmm.
horse. It's not a cow. It's not a giraffe. It's not any other kind of animal. So it's a horse. So I won't show all of it, and it will be assumed and it'll be absorbed by the viewer. Also, too, when you see horse racing where it's a still frame and it's a 2,000th of a second or whatever, and it's completely frozen, unlike a car, which looks like it's parked, a horse, when it's in full gallop, even though it's a high shutter speed and completely frozen, my God, the speed! You're still getting a feeling of speed, because a shape of a horse when it's running looks a very particular way, and that speed gets transmitted to you even though it's a freeze frame, right? So there's that. And so
That's interesting.
you can get away with that. And that's one thing I learned after, I guess, years of rodeo is you can absolutely do the peak of action, have the horse at its apex, and those are fun. I've got horses, both feet are like way up, 4 feet off the ground, and the poor cowboy is like, he's like 8 feet or 10 feet up, and he's got to come down from that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So even though at the peak of action, oh, all this mass, period, this weight is going to come back down on the ground. And so there's a kind of an anticipation, and a still photograph is really a separate experience from actually watching rodeo. If you watch rodeo, this ride is only 8 seconds. Okay, so you got to appreciate it, and you're looking at his form, and the judges are scoring for the horse and scoring for the rider, and there's this whole kind of process around what a ride is when you're physically there watching. When you're doing photography of it, you're transforming it into an instant. So there's no noise, there's no hollering, there's no bellowing of the horse, there's no grunting of the cowboy. It's just this kind of frozen tableau or whatever it is that you have to catch. And so you have to think of that when you shoot, right? You do the peak of action, or maybe not. Maybe you want, like, I've got a couple pictures of the pickup man kind of going around after he's got the cowboy off his ride, and they're just kind of going by, and you see two horse necks, and then the pickup man's face is kind of this is his day at the office, right? And he's made a face and he's doing his thing. And sort of like
Yeah.
you only see the necks of the horses and a bit of the mane. And again, it's like, oh, that's a horse and that's a horse. I know they're horses, so I don't need to see the whole thing.
Do the whole thing. Can you do that with human beings too, you think?
Yes, I don't like doing that with human beings because I did this thing where, when you're first starting out street photography, you're shooting everybody from behind because you don't have the nerve to shoot them face on. And I kind of didn't like that after a while, after I read that, that's all people do. Like they don't have the nerve to shoot. Now I definitely shoot in people's faces for good or for worse, better for worse. But yeah, I don't do fragments of people too much. I maybe there's a blurred figure that's up closer that kind of offers something compositionally interesting when the main subject is a little bit further away. I'll do that kind of fragment, but nothing like what, I would do in these kind of pictures. So that answered the question? I hope.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
I guess what I'm thinking is that
listeners decide. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about like what are one's options when maybe you're not able to get, a shot through the fence like you are. So what other kinds of pictures can you pick up from events like this? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a rodeo, but can, like a circus or something like that. We always go for, the main person doing whatever the act is. And what would it be like to, well, what someone looks like when they're walking on a high wire, right? The rest, like to take your analogy and go further with it, like, what that looks like. So what would it be like just to capture their feet on the wires, or their hands holding the pole or something like that, not necessarily seeing the entire person and going for stuff like that. And there's so, we're in the summer time and there's going to be a lot of events such as rodeos, circuses, and things where people are photographing action. And to give them a set of tools to say, go out and try this, but don't go for the hero pictures, which I actually find that your shot is kind of, I wouldn't say the hero shot, but like it fills that category. Like to me, you wouldn't need, if that's the only picture you came back from that rodeo, I would say it was a success. Like, again, it wouldn't be the typical kind of picture that one would think about a rodeo. I don't know what that might be. Maybe, I don't know. But I think a convention would be like, you see the whole horse, you see the guy, you see his face, he's doing this, right? And everybody sees it and it's great. It's wonderful. And I love the idea of you having to fill in the rest of, in this case, the animals or the person because you know what they look like. And I think, if anything, that's a great takeaway. I don't know if it works with every subject, but it's certainly something to try.
Yeah. I mean, some of the other pictures that I've have posted are, people walking along, doing streety stuff. Like I do fall back to my street work. There's a picture of three young boys that are walking. They all got their white straw hats on.
Yeah.
There's the people in the crowd, in the audience. I went to a concert on my birthday there 3 weeks ago or a month ago, and I took pictures of people in the crowd. Yeah, they're smaller pictures. They're fine. Competitors, the competitors, they're fit young men and women, the ones, the barrel racers. They don't mind I'm sure they don't mind having their picture taken. And you see them and they're dressed up. It's like their Sunday best. Like they are cleaned up, they're very attractively dressed. If the Western thing is your thing, they're really compelling and they're really good subjects for portraits too. If you want to go that direction, they're lovely, fit people. Like they're athletes, and there's lots of different directions you can go.
Yeah, I just was trying to get across the idea of like doing something a little different, which I don't know how different your photography is from other rodeo, but it's certainly different from what I've seen from you, and so maybe not entirely different, but just, the fact that you use color instead of black and white and you made all these deliberate choices about, you didn't just go there and started taking pictures. You had a thought process. Also, since you're lucky, you know what to expect. So you already have some of that experience. So you go to this thing over and over again, so you can afford to try something different. I mean, I don't know if that's what you were thinking.
Or not try at all. Like there's some years I don't really come back with much of anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Some years I'm more into the cabaret, the dance or whatever, and trying to take pictures of
Well, that's
people.
great. Yeah,
Just different things to do there.
yeah. I was just sort of wanting to offer the audience for people who are thinking about doing work like this now, at least in our northern hemisphere in the United States.
Yeah.
We're going to be outside a lot, maybe a lot of events, whatever they may be. I think you can translate some of what you did at the rodeo to other things, and that's kind of what I want to encourage people to try. I don't, you've certainly rubbed off on me a little bit in terms of like, when I went to, I think it was the Cass County Fair last year, and I decided to just go with like slow shutter speeds or something. There was something I did that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with, and I did it, and I ended up getting pictures I was a little bit more happy with. And I have a feeling that seeing some of your work in these places, at least in a similar situation, it sort of I started thinking about it a little bit more. Anyway, I'm kind of offering that to whoever's listening to try some of the same things, because whatever it may be. It's sometimes hard for me to get out of my mindset of like, I got to freeze the frame. I have to get everything in. I mean, that's a hard thing sometimes to get out of the habit of just, okay, what happens if I drag the shutter a little bit? I know it's going to get blurry, but so what? Or what happens if I only take a detail of something? I don't see the whole thing. I don't see the whole costume and the collar that looks really nice and fluffy. I'm focusing on the shoe or something. That's fine. There's always next year, or there's always the next event or something like that, So just, opening ourselves up to a little bit less, or just more open to ideas in terms of the idea to capture things not perfectly all the time. Tend to end up with things that are maybe even have more feeling than the ones that are the hero shots, which, yeah. So I want to acknowledge again that you did a great job, and I can't wait to get it printed. And everybody's listening to this, you should buy this print.
Okay. I'll put it up on this
I want
weekend,
everybody to go to his
promise.
website. I want everybody to go to his website.
It's not up there
buy
yet.
this print. Well, what are you waiting for? It takes 2 seconds. You got Squarespace. Put it up there. I know I should be doing the same thing. I took pictures of Big Boy the other week. I don't know
Okay,
if
your pictures kick the stuffing out of mine, actually.
No,
We've
they
both
don't.
seen that look a minute. That look.
It's just a train. It's just a train. It's
Yeah,
just a
but
thing.
you shot with the GFX, did you, on that one?
No. I just shot with
Okay.
my regular whatever XT5 or something like that.
That one of it coming toward. That's another picture we got to put somewhere in the show.
Well,
notes.
it was great to see a train like
I
that.
didn't
But anyway,
have that view. I was too far away from it to get that view. So
I know, but you sold pictures of that train, so that's
I did actually. I did sell. Yeah.
Is that still on your website, by the way?
Yeah, it's still available.
Okay, I gotta go check. I gotta go look at it now, because now I understand the context of the train. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. We'll do that thing. I realize that we've talked for a while, so I did want to talk about Edward Weston, but I think we're gonna have to push him off until the next episode, because I have some stuff to say about it. I just got this book. Well, I didn't just get it, but I just opened it. It was sealed on my shelf for a while, and it's Edward Weston. It's excerpts of his daybook, which are his journal that he kept when he was doing his pictures in Mexico and in California. I think he's got 15 years worth of writing. Anyway, I enjoyed actually talking about your work, and we'll table this for the next time, I think, because maybe we can do a whole show on Edward Weston, which I would love to do, because now we have time, we can think about it. So to be continued on that. All right. I thoroughly loved hearing your experience about the rodeo. It's a lot different, actually, may I say, from previous experiences. So I'm glad you can go there and have something different and share, and doesn't sound like a repeat, to me. So
yeah, good.
All right.
Glad I could do it, and I'm glad people really like it. It's gratifying.
Yeah, and your head is swelling past the camera here.
Wow. Maybe. Sorry.
No, I'm glad I got such good recognition too.
Yeah.
The dopamine hit must feel good on that one, I think.
It does. but
Yeah.
I think of myself more as a street photographer than a sports photographer, and so I'm like, you know. But
Those
a
two are
print
not
is a
mutually
print.
exclusive. Those
No,
two
they're
are not
not.
mutually exclusive. So,
And
you know,
I
don't
still
worry
will
about it.
say that street is harder than rodeo to shoot. So,
I would probably concur with that.
yeah.
I agree. Successful street stuff.
Successful
I would say.
street photography.
All right. Anyway, okay, great. Where are you in the world? Please.
Where am I in the world? I have to find myself. I am on Vero, Twitter,
right
and
there.
Blue Sky. Well, you know, whatever. I got a swelled head. I told you. Vero, Twitter, and Blue Sky at W Rosin Photo. On Instagram, I'm at Ward Rosin Fine Art. That's where you're going to see kind of everything. All my iPhone pictures, all the kind of stuff that interests me, whatever, go up there. On Facebook, I'm Ward Rosin Photo, and my website is rosin.ca, which, if you give me a few minutes, I'll put up a couple of those rodeo pictures for your consideration and hopefully a print sale. That'd be great. And Antonio, where can we find you?
Where am I? I'm on Blue Sky at AM Rosario and Instagram AM Rosario Photo. My old account was hacked. I never got it back, which was just AM Rosario. You can go and see my stuff if you go to AM Rosario. Just don't follow that. If you want to follow me, go to AM Rosario Photo. Anyway, my website is amrosario.com. Facebook, I put a lot of stuff on. Like I put Big Boy on Facebook, and I'm at Rosario Photo on Facebook. Also, we have a Substack that we would love you guys to subscribe to us on streetshots.substack.com. You mentioned that it was our what? What did you call it? Our backfill?
Our backfill.
Yeah,
And
explain
I
that
think you have
quickly
an
a little bit.
article about my experience at the rodeo.
Please. Well, when you say backfill, what do you mean quickly? Just say it
It's
briefly.
background and sort of like behind the scenes feeling, fleshing out our real feelings in context for what we talk about on the show.
Good. Yeah, it's a wonderful way to express ourselves that we don't do when we're talking to each other. So streetshots.substack.com, and if you want to support the show, one of the great ways is you can buy us a coffee by buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Antonio Rosario. That way you can become an honorary producer of the show if you buy us a coffee. And both of us, like Ward said before, we both have prints for sale on our websites. So I think that's probably the best way to support the show, because then you get a print in return, and we get to pay some of the bills for doing all that stuff. But there's satisfaction in selling prints and showing prints. So at Ward's site, you go to rosin.ca, I think it's /shop, and I'm pretty sure. And then mine is amrosario.com/print-shop. So you can go to those places. We'll have the links in the show notes, so you can go there. Yeah. Awesome. So between now and our next recording, Ward, I don't know what you have planned, but hopefully it will.
Thinking about going to more rodeos this summer.
Okay, more rodeo. Yes, of course you are. And if I see a rodeo, I'm going to think about your work and see where I can go with it. And
Bring a longer lens with you if you decide to go.
I have plenty of long lenses. I don't have a problem with long lenses. It's not a problem. So anyway, okay. So everybody, will see you in a couple of weeks. And Ward, thanks for joining me tonight. I really appreciate
That's
sort of the last minute join. Yeah.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, my friend.
All right, everybody, have a good night, and see you in a couple of weeks. And see you, Ward. Bye.